Welcome to a little tutorial in Illustrator on how to prepare documents for laser cutting. Now, the goal of today is to make a cube which is 10 by 10 by 10 centimeters, and the width of the cardboard is 4 millimeters. So there's two things you need to remember whenever we make a new design. I want you to sketch your designs out. I want you to take measurements. And if you are really thorough and really want something to work, build it first by hand and then measure it. But most important, first take measurements, and then you have to also measure the thickness of the material you're working with. The reason we measure the thickness is so that we can factor in how thick our material is when making joins. So we are going to be working with a thickness of 4 millimeters. Okay, so that means we'll make wherever our join meets, we will need to make our thickness, the width of the line 4 millimeters smaller to account for the thickness of the cardboard. So it's really simple. We're going to do a cube. So what do we know about a cube? We need 6 sides. So the easiest way is to use our line or rectangle tool. So I'm going to hold this in. You can press M for rectangle, and we just click on it, and we can add our input in. Make sure we select a stroke. For the laser cutter, this is fine, nothing lower than 0.1 millimeters low. And it's going to be really simple. We're just going to drag and copy by holding the Alt key while we drag. And then I want you to use your direct selection tool, the white arrow tool. You can do this by pressing A. And we're going to go at the top here to the scissor, which will cut the path at the selected anchor points. Now, we can quite simply make a rectangle with one side less. We can Control C, Control V, Control C, Control V. We need how many for a cube? 6, right? So this is an easy way to create the sides we need. Attach it there. You should be zooming in and making sure they're perfect, but to make sure this video is not 1 hour long, I will not be doing that. Okay, so we've prepared 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides. See, there's another one lurking over here. No, let's flip it around and attach it. Now the cut tool is one of the tools I use the most. It makes the whole design process a lot easier. Okay, so as you can see, a little bit off center. You need to be sure about your things lining up before you send it to the laser cutter. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But now if I'm going to attach another one over here on the right side, I will need to cut these parts first. And instead of removing the path or deleting the path, I'm going to change this path to a dotted line. So we go to the stroke section over here, we use dash line, and we add a dotted line. The reason we do this is because dotted lines become fold lines after we laser cut them. So I'll be doing them here in the center as well. The nice thing about this is the whole center will be dashed, so I can use it quite simply. And then finally, just add one more block from our clipboard. And if we count, we've got 4, 5, 6 sections. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this will fold into a cube. Now, if we were using tape, we could send this directly to the laser cutter, but we are not. So we're gonna, but let's say we are not. I'm not sure. If you're using tape, you don't have to worry with flaps. It's quite easy without the tape. But with the tape, we're gonna have to make sure that our joins are good. And yeah, we're going to also have to redo this last part. So to factor in the joins, I'm going to go back. I'm going to use my line tool that I'm going to select over here by using the backdash. And this time I'm going to make a 96mm line. The reason being is I am factoring in the width of our cardboard, so I deduct it from our, and then I'll copy that over by holding in Alt and dragging. Same deal, I'm going to make another line. This time I'm going to make my line 100mm with a 90-degree, and excuse me, get rid of this one, and we're going to place it at the bottom, and we're going to make this a dashed line. Once again, the dash line is because it's going to fold. Copy your line over, hold in Shift and hold in Alt while we make it slightly shorter. And this time we're going to change it to a solid line. Once we have that, we're going to use our pen tool. You can press P or click over here. We're going to grab onto this anchor point and connect it over there. Actually, Control Z that. Let's not connect it, let's just float it a little bit off. Same on the other side, float it a little bit off, and we can just drag it in as we zoom closer. And there we've made a flap that we can use to join our cardboard to the other side, but we're also going to need a flap over here to join these sides. So once I have my flap, it's pretty easy. I can select this. I'm going to cut my paths, select this, cut my paths over here, same, select, cut. Make sure you use the direct selection tool, that's the white arrow. You're going to change these paths to dashed paths, same over here. And we're going to just copy this over, copy our flap over. Flip that one. Cool, and now we can use double-sided tape with this design to make a perfect cube. Should be easy as pie. One thing that we didn't do, which I'll do quickly, is just change the width of this line. Now, if you have already changed the width and you want to make it a bit smaller, you can just do it over here with the W value. So I'm going to make that 96. Same goes over here, 96. And we can just tuck our flap in towards the line. Be sure to check. So this is why having a drawing or some sort of template, it makes life a lot easier, because you don't have to go back at the end and change the design. But wherever you put the flap, you need to figure out how to change the template accordingly. Now, while I made this 96, I've just realized you should actually make this even thinner. Why? Because we have two flaps. That means we have to account for twice the amount of width for our cardboard. So 4 millimeters times 2 obviously equals 8 millimeters. Okay, But for all intents and purposes, this is not to actually show you, not to build the thing. And at the end of the day, this is still going to work, but you need to keep that in mind. Okay, now for the important part.